And I'm going. Yeah, of course. I've asked your professor, and they don't care about the staining, so I don't have to tell that it's methoxyl eosin. They don't care at all. The main idea is for you is to just to tell them what can you found in each picture. Okay, so first picture is the easiest. I think if you got this kind of pictures in the exam, are you all listening to me right now? Yeah, you have my screen. Yeah, perfect. All right. So let's get started. I have my own notes in front of me also. Okay. So as you can see here, first of all, in this picture of spermatogenesis, you have a cross section of the seminiferous tubule in the testis of the male. So you can say either it's a cross section in the testis or a section in the seminiferous tubules. Okay, I'm gonna write it in here. Hold on. If my pen wants to, I guess. I think for me it's better to write. Let me. Okay, I think it's better to write, I guess. So, seminiferous tubule. Okay. Oh, fuck. I was writing in white, sorry. Hold on. I'm just going to take my time a little bit in here. Okay, so, seminiferous tubules. Okay. All right. It is a cross section, first of all. And let's say that in the exam you're going to take one, for example, this one, okay, one cross section of seminiferous tubule, and you're going to talk about the main content of it. So in the peripheral area of this tube, you have the primordial germ cells, PGMS. Those primordial germ cells will give rise to the spermatogonia. All right, and you will have to talk about the content of the chromosomes. So 46 chromosomes. The B chromatide. Okay, they have double chromatides. Okay, those spermatogonia. After the spermatogonia, you have another cell layer. Okay, after spermatogonia, you have the spermatocytes 1, then after spermatocyte 2, and so on. Okay, that's it. And now for the most important, here you can see like you have some shapes of filaments in here, right? Those are the last cells in the spermatogenesis, the mature, not the immature sperms. So those are the spermatozoa. The spermatozoa. The spermatozoa are they have their own morphology. So they have a head, okay, a neck, let's say, and a tail. All right. The head has in his peripheral in the periphery of it some acrosomes. So the acrosome cap, right, which contain some enzymes that will help for the enzyme that are going to be active in the capacitation reaction. Those enzymes, if your professor, Dr. Kalin, asks you, those are neuraminidase. And I think, if I'm not wrong, let me just check my notes. Neuraminidase and acrosin, right? Acrosin. Okay, and in the neck of the sperm, here you have mitochondria. Those mitochondria are responsible of the motility of the sperm. Okay, they provide for the sperm the energy, the exact amount of energy to swim across the female tubes and so on, and also in the testis and everything to travel to the tip, to the penis, and for the ejaculation and everything. And if your professor asks also the sperm doesn't move. Sorry for the drawing. The sperm doesn't move in a swim-like motion. Actually, it rotates. it do a rotation. Okay, so the flagella here, the tail of the sperm actually do a rotation to move. So it rotates like that. Okay, it doesn't swim; it rotates. Okay, but I don't know. Maybe if the professor can ask you this kind of question, who knows? Now for the tail has a main protein. It is the flagellin. Okay. So let's get back to our picture. So if your professor asks you what are those filament looks like, what are those filaments in here? Those filaments are the sperms, okay, the spermatozoa, and the filaments are the tail, the sperms. And here I can see like a light in here. This is called the lumen. Lumen. Lumen stand in Latin to light, okay, lumina in Romanian language. So in the lumen, the sperms are going to be released. Okay. What else do I have to tell you about in this picture? Also, you have to talk about the hormones that you can find. Not the hormones. Sorry. There are cells that are responsible for nutrition, the nutrition of the sperms during the process of spermatogenesis. I've told you about in the other PDF that I've sent you before. Let me just check because I have to remember also by myself. I think it was, come on, Leydig cells, if I remember. Yeah, here in the first PDF that I've sent you before, you have all the semivestibular, come on, labelled. Okay, so you have the spermatogonia here. Here's a labeled picture with everything you need for the exam. You can use it also. And as I was telling, between each layer here, between each kind of cells, you have the Sertoli cells. If your professor asks you what are the Sertoli cells responsible for, I think it says for nutrition. Let me just check for the vocab that I've done for you also. The vocabulary, the vocab. Yeah. So Sertoli cells are the somatic cells of the testis, and they will provide nutrition for the cells to grow and everything, and they'll provide them a great condition to grow. So a good environment, let's say. And what is the difference between Sertoli cells and Leydig cells? Leydig cells are those cells who will produce the testosterone and the androgen for the males, so the main hormones of for the sexual development and for the puberty and everything. So as we said, like there are like the secondary sexual characteristics. Okay, and that's it. Okay, and you have the main vocabs for everything for the semivegetables. So the cross section of the through the testis. All right. You have this PDF. Don't worry. So this is for the first picture. Do you have any questions? Should I repeat something, or I don't know?
No.
Okay. Let's move on for the ovarian follicles. So here you have also a cross section through the ovaries of a cat. So this is the cat ovaries. Here, this is first of all ovogenesis also. So another type of gametogenesis, the development of the ovarian follicles and everything. So here you have the primordial. Sorry. What do you want? Yellow? Black? Okay. Primordial primordial follicles. Okay. Here you have a secondary one. Secondary follicle. If you want to know the difference between the primordial secondary follicle, the tertiary one, the quaternary one, I've also uploaded you another picture in the first PDF that I've done to you guys. Okay. I think it was supposed to be. Let me check. Maybe this one, but I don't know if I have a better picture than this. Yeah, this one. This one is perfect for you. Okay. So Here you have the primordial or the primary follicle, the secondary one, primordial, secondary. Those are tertiary follicles. This is why I call it the mature follicle, or either you call it mature follicle or quaternary follicle, or the main name of it is also the graph follicle. Okay, this is the main name of the mature follicle. Okay, what are the, let's say, the main components? So like, what makes the mature or the graph follicle so special is its anatomy. All right, sorry. I'm gonna show you the graph follicle if the professor asks. Okay. Here I have one labeled. Perfect. Let's open it. Okay. So let's say those pictures are going to be the same for all. Okay. So first of all, you can see the fibrovascular coat. You have the the internal tech, the external tech. Do you want me to write on the picture to tell you? Yeah, it's better. I'm,
Yes.
I'm going to do this. Perfect. Um, mm, hold on. Yeah, this one. Don't look at the pictures. Thank you. Okay. So you have the external tech. Sorry, the external tech here. The most external layer. The internal tech, the second layer. It's the interstitial. Those here, the internal tech. The cells are bigger than the external tech. The main difference between the internal and external is that, first of all, where the acid is situated, so the location, of course, and also for the thickness. So the external tech is thinner than the internal tech, sorry. And between the in the internal tech, sorry, you have some connective tissues from collagen, okay. But now it's not that important. What's the most important is the corona radiata, the cumulus ophorus. Where are they located? Because the professor is going to be so, let's say, arch with it. So the cumulus ophorus is this. You see this kind of let's say I know it in French, fuck. This kind of cap in here. Hold on. I'm going to upload it on the notability also. Mm, okay. So notability. Okay. You see this kind of shape in here? This one? You see? This is the cumulus ophorus. The cumulus in Latin means an accumulation, okay? Ophorus means, if I remember still, it's kind of a terminal point, okay? So it's an accumulation of accumulation of cells, and it is the termination of it. So this is the cumulus ophorus. Remember, it's like a cap of a bottle, okay? It's the cap of a bottle. Here we have the oversight too, blocked into the it's metaphases too, oversight. Blocked into metaphases too, and it will only continue its let's say its meiosis only if it's fertilized. So if fertilization occurs, if not, it will degenerate itself. Okay. The opposite is let's say protected by some layers of cells that are called the zona pellucida. And here you have a cavity here. This cavity is the follicular cavity. The follicular cavity is filled with follicular fluid. Okay, it will provide nutrition also for the ovocyte, and that's it for the graph follicle. Next, where you can find the graph follicle, you can, let's say, maybe this one, but not that much. Okay, the main difference between the tertiary, this is a tertiary follicle. Okay, if you want to distinguish between the tertiary and the graph follicle, you have to find the cumulus operis. If you don't have the cumulus operis, you cannot say that it is the graph follicle. You have if here you can see that you don't have a accomplished cumulus operis, so this is a tertiary follicle. All right. So here you have sorry. Here you have some primary follicles. Here you have a secondary follicle. No, this is still primary. Here you have a secondary follicle. Okay, all right, guys. And I think the professor can be tricky a little bit with you, and he's going to ask you, what are those, right? Somebody knows what are those kind of shape of cells? Do you know? Can somebody tell me in the chat? Or maybe turn on microphones if you know. What are those two? Someone? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Are you alive? Hello? Okay. Okay, I know that you all are there, they are stressed out, but let's work a little bit. Do you know what those shapes are or not? Okay, okay, don't worry. I'm going to tell you. So, first of all, those are corpus luteum, guys. Let me tell you. Um, After the ovocyte is released into the lumen, so into the fallopian tube, okay, the follicular shape here, this follicle, the whole follicle itself, okay, will not degenerate directly. It will stay like for the rest of the cycle before it degenerates, okay, before the menstruation cycle. And this corpus luteum is full with progesterone. Why? Because the follicular cells, okay, they are responsible to secrete the progesterone. What is the main function of progesterone is to amplify the implantation, to provide a good environment for the embryo to let's say like the progesterone provide a good house for the embryo to welcome it in the uterus and everything. But like if the corpus luteum degenerates, what will happen in the uterus is ischemia. So it means bleeding. So meaning you enter the menstruation cycle. Okay. So I repeat, if the professor asks you what are those two, those are the corpus luteum. Right after the ovocyte 2 is released into the fallopian tube, and will degenerate into the after 14 days in the menstrual cycle. And if fertilization occurs, the corpus luteum will stay. The corpus luteum will stay for 3 months for the first trimester for the first trimestral of pregnancy. Okay, and the corpus luteum in these 3 months it will turn to a yellow body. Okay, that's it for this picture. Now another one. Okay, this is the same thing. Let's say also this is a big ass follicle in here, so we can say that this is a quaternary follicle. The same thing for this in here, so you have the primordial follicle. Here have a primary follicle. They will not exaggerate so much if it's primary or secondary follicles, okay? But they will exaggerate mostly if this is a quaternary or tertiary follicle, okay? Primordial follicles are always located in the periphery of the ovaries, okay? Because they're like primordial germ cells, kind of. This is a very beautiful picture of a Degraaff follicle. Okay, so or quaternary mature one. You have the cumulus ovorus. Okay, you have the zona pellucida, which is filled with ZP3 proteins. We'll see later on with fertilization in the final exam. Don't worry. You have the theca externa, TH theca externa, the internal theca. You have some follicles in here. You have the ovocyte 2 blocked in meiosis 2 or metaphases 2. Metaphases 2. You have the follicular cavity filled with fluid, cavity fluid, and that's it. Let's move on for the next picture. Do you need, are you writing or are you remaining on the recording or something? Tell me when you are done. Please. Yeah. You are done? Are you writing or in getting notes or just recording? Just okay. What? Okay. Okay. This is a picture for the corpus luteum. Okay, nothing more. I've already told you before. If you want the main role of the corpus luteum, we have it on the PDF of the LP1 and also my PDF for gametogenesis. Okay. Here's a very fair picture of implantation. Those pictures are for the implantation. Okay, so the process of it. Okay, let me just check on my notes because I have some main information I have to tell you about. So, here you have. So this is the blastocyst first of all. Okay, so this whole cell is the blastocyst. Okay, if your professors ask you about the decidua, first of all, what is decidua? From my groups, a lot of people asked me, Chimène, what is the shidwa? So the shidwa is like a temporary lining, okay, of cells that will enter ischemia after all. So it's temporary. It will not stay in here, okay. It's only for a main period of time, okay. So the endometrium when it comes to pregnancy, when it comes to implant the embryo, the embryo into the uterine cavity, okay, the endometrium, the lining of the uterus will become the shidwa, and as I've told you, so the shidwa is temporary, okay, it's not permanent, okay, so. You have 3 types of Dishidua. Okay, so you have the Dishidua basalis here. I'm going to highlight it for you. What kind of highlight should I use? I'm gonna use yellow for here. It's not enough. Maybe blue will do it. Okay. Okay, so this is Dishidua basalis. Okay, the whole endometrium will become the Decidua parietalis, and the just a junction between the blastocyst and the endometrium wall here. You can see, okay, I'm going to use a crayon in pink. Okay, this is a capsule Okay, so this is why I call it the decidua capsularis. Okay, those are not very important information, but it will be very good if you add them into your exam. Okay, so let's talk about the blastocyst first of all. So here here you are in the first week of intrauterine life. So you the implantation. Okay. The blastocyst will implant into the endometrial wall. Okay, you have to tell this to your professor. All right, and in the first week, so in the so in the week 7, sorry, in the day 7, you have the embryo has the morphology of a bilaminar embryonic disc. Okay, so you have the hypoblast and the epiblast. The hypoblast and the epiblast will form the bilaminar embryonic disc, and this is right before the gastrulation. Okay. Second of all, what I have to tell you, just check before I start talking about the syncytiotrophoblast and the cytotrophoblast. So, by the end of day 8, the inner membrane of vein, okay. Okay, so the trophoblast, okay, the most outer layer of the blastocyst will become two types. First of all, you have the cytotrophoblast, as it is on the picture, okay? And second of all, you have the syncytiotrophoblast, okay? So, what is the main difference between the cytotrophoblast and syncytiotrophoblast? For syncytio means that you will have syncytium. Okay, syncytium means that those are undifferentiated. Those cells are undifferentiated. Okay, so they don't have any specific role. So they are like babies. You see, so they don't know what are the main goals in life. You can see, and those syncytium will form those syncytium will become plurinucleus. It means that they have a lot of nucleus in them. Okay, but the main idea that you have to tell to your professor is that the syncytium will form kind of kind of irregular shapes of cells. Okay, so will come like this. This is why I call it syncytium. So syncytiums means they will form like irregular shape of morphology. Okay, and will become like this in day 8. You can see this is a syncytiotrophoblast. Okay, and as the syncytiotrophoblast grows into the endometrium, the blastocyst will implant itself deeply into the endometrium. You can see the main difference between these two pictures. You can see that the blastocyst has become so into the endometrium. Okay, and by day 8, okay, by day 9, there will be some spaced cavities in here. You can see those spaced cavities are called lacunae. Okay, and those lacunae will be filled and will not be empty, but will be filled up with blood. And where this blood can come from? This blood will come from the maternal artery. Okay, and so please don't forget, this is the epiblast in blue, and this is the hypoblast. You have my notes on the Google Drive also, okay, on my source documents. And as I've told you, so the maternal artery will fill those lacunae with blood, okay, so start vascularizing and start bringing blood to this whole group of cells, which is the blastocyst, and this is before the gastrulation events. Okay, so this is the first week between week 1 and week 2 of eternary life. Okay, now for the umbilical cord. Um, so I have some information to tell you about. There are also in my own notes for the placenta and the umbilical cord are also on the Google Drive. Okay, I've already talked about the umbilical arteries and the umbilical vein. So in the umbilical cord, you have to tell your professor that you have three vessels, and there are two types. So the arteries and the vein. You have two umbilical arteries. It is so important to sorry to know the number of arteries that you have. Okay, so you have always two arteries and one vein. Okay, um, the deoxygenated fetal blood will get into the placenta through the arteries, through the two umbilical arteries. Okay, deoxygenated blood. And this blood will pick up the oxygen and the glucose and will drop off the carbon dioxide. While for the umbilical vein, okay, so for the umbilical vein here, this one, it will actually be concentrated with oxygenated fetal blood. And yes, and this oxygenated fetal blood will head back towards the heart directly. Okay, those are the main vessels of the umbilical cord. That's it for this picture. There's nothing more. Okay, and where it's on jelly. Okay, so just it's not that important. The most important thing that you have to tell for the professor that you have two umbilical arteries. The arteries contains the deoxygenated fetal blood, the and one vein. Okay, so that has oxygenated fetal blood. The umbilical arteries will pick up the oxygen and the glucose and drop off the carbon dioxide, while the umbilical vein, okay, it will so for the oxygenated fetal blood, it will head back towards to the heart through the umbilical large vein, and this is the largest one, of course. That's it for this picture, I guess. Okay. This picture is the cardiac. So the first stage of cardiac looping, right? You have the stages also in one of the videos that I've sent you also before. You have so this is the first formation of the endocardium, of course. I think mostly for this picture, the professor is going to hide everything in here, and you have just to tell him what you can see, nothing more. Okay, so there's literally not that much to explain about. You have the ectoderm, and here mostly this is the mesoderm. And if the professor wants to ask you from where from which layer is the responsible of the development of the heart and the cardiovascular system, it comes from the lateral mesoderm, okay, and from the visceral part, right? The visceral part will not only form the heart and the cardiovascular system, but also would form some of the guts, and so the GIT, the gastrointestinal tube, and tract, and that's it. Next, okay, here's the hardest one, kinda. So it's not. It's also for the heart development, okay, guys, but it's not that let's say that easy, I would say. Okay, so those are the pictures for also for the cardiac looping. Okay, so you have here the right atrium, because I think most of you don't know how to label in here. You have the right ventricle. This is easy. Ventricle. You have the left atrium, and the left ventricle. Left ventricle. Now, of course, you're going to ask me, what is this? LCV. What is what else? What is AVS? Okay, LCV stands for left cardinal vein, and AVS will stand for the stenosis, so the aortic valve stenosis. Okay. What else do you need to know? You have the trunctus arteriosus in here, so for the outflow tract, and yeah, that's it for this one. I just labeled you everything you need to know in here. What else? I think. Oh yeah. So this is a picture from the development of the from the pharyngeal arches, of course. Also, you just have to label them as they are, and if the professor asks you the for the mandible, of course. So let's start. You have the macal cartilage here. You have some of the nerves that comes from the facial nerves. Okay, from the facial one. So you have the mandibular one, and you have some other branches. Okay, so hold on, I have a message from my professor. Hold on. Um, okay, I have an announcement for M1, M2, M3 are here. Oh, yeah, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So your professor is telling me that on Monday, physical exam. Yeah, he's still writing. Hold on. M1 comes at 10. Okay, you know what? I'm going to send the screenshot. It's better. M2 comes at 10, 10:30, and M3 at 11. Okay, perfect. Bro, your immigration now. You have exams. And also, Professor tells you not to be late. I've sent you the announcement that you sent me. Okay. So if your professor asks you where those nerves comes from, so the inferior alveolar, the mandible, the lingual, the mandibular, the inferior alveolar, and the incisor, okay, and the metal, of course. Those are the branches of the facial nerve. Facial nerve. Sorry for my handwriting. So the cranial nerve 7. Okay. What else? The lingual one comes from the hypoglossal cranial nerve. Okay. So this is a branch of the cranial nerve 12. If, okay, sorry, cranial nerve 12. All right. Um. Oh, okay. This is a good picture. This is awesome. So here, I don't know if you still have you been into the TMG lectures, the temporomandibular joint lecture that we had with Dr. Claude Colleen. The No, it was with our doctor, with Claude Colleen. Actually, this one he talked about it. So, but of course, for the second semester for anatomy, the it's going to be a little bit more harder, okay? Because we're going to have also head and neck, but it's going to be more deeper, more profound, more complete. That's what the professor told me. Okay, so that you can know. Sorry. So this is so those pictures are for the TMG. Okay, temporal, mandibular joint. Okay, and what is the main idea of a professor is to tell you about how the mandible the mandible itself move and through the articulation, through the temporal, so it's temporal fossa. We can see it in the atlas. It's better. Okay. Hold on. No. Okay. So, if your professor asks you how he asked this question in the class, as to remember, if your professor asks you how the mandible is able to move, okay, how this articulation is movable, it's just because of the ligaments that are and this joint is a synovial joint. Synovial. I'm going to write it for you. It's a synovial joint. Synovial means it's movable. Okay. And the main difference between synovial joint and synarthrosis are those joints that we can find in the periodontal ligament. Okay. But not only the periodontal ligament, but also the sutures of the head of the skull. So my main idea for the synarthrosis is that it is a movable. Those joints, those articulations, you cannot move them. But the synovial one are the most movable articulations, such as the rotule. Okay, so for the movement of the knee, yes, and also for the temporomandibular joint, as you can see. Okay, and the main idea of here is to tell you how does the mandible move. At least, let me just check if this is possible. Okay, so when you are in protraction, okay, protraction means when your mandible is more interior. You can see this is a protraction. Retraction means you move your mandible to in a posterior direction. I don't know if I have another one. Okay. This is for the biting and everything. Okay. So the main movement of the mandible is, I'm going to write them for you. The main movement of the mandible is protraction. Means the movement is interior. Retraction, backward. Okay. Those protraction and retraction are for the occlusion. So when you close your mouth. Okay, and when you eat and everything. Now, how the temporomandibular joint move? Okay, so the for the articulation, the conda will articulate the head. So the conda will articulate into the temporal fossa, and it will only slide. Okay, what will it do is that it will only slide on the temporal. Okay, so as you can see, this is the mandibular fossa. Okay, so the mandible will slide in this space. Okay, and that's it. That's it for this picture. Okay. Do you have any question? I know it's not that. I know it's not that easy, but do you have any question? Like, if you want me to explain it in another way, tell me. So this is the condyle, and this is from the temporal fossa. So this is a mandibular fossa. So okay. Do you have any question? Just this picture is just for the movement of the TMG. That's it. That is his main idea of it. Okay. I guess everyone's asleep. Whatever. Now for the sections of the dentin and the pulp, you have to distinguish between two main kind of cells. So first of all, here we have the pulp. Here we have the dentin. For the tooth anatomy. Okay, if your professor asks you, of course, going to This is not that perfect, but whatever. Here we have the crown. You have the roots of the tooth. Okay, this is the enamel, the most outward crystal of the tooth.
Chimène,
Yes, what's the matter?
I have a question. Are we gonna be allowed to write our ideas before we talk, or?
Actually, you're not going to talk, you're going to write them, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was my professor, I mean, Dr. Anka, so our assistant in our 5 and 6, she told us that we're going to have, let's say, for example, you M1, M2, M3. Oh, the professor sent me other messages. Hold on. Okay, Professor Times tells you to not to be late, and of course you cannot change your groups as well. So please, really, guys, if you try to change your groups and everything, the professor is going to be mad at you, and you're gonna have 0 and you're going to fail your practical exam and not be able to pass into the final exam. Okay, please. The pre-session is harder than the final exam session, because it's like your passport for the final exam, first of all. And of course, we have 3 exams in this week. I know it's kind of hard. And I think also the others have also informatics, right? I have informatics exam in Monday, yes? Hello?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Good luck, I guess, guys. Try to sacrifice a little bit of your time. Now, for the final exam, you have most of the exams are spaced between each other, and you have better time to study. I hope so. Now let's get back to our main idea for the tooth. Okay, so for the anatomy of the tooth, you're going to see also more in the second semester about the morphology of the tooth and dental morphology. So you have the crown, so the occlusion part of the tooth. The crown is composed of the most outward crystal, which is the enamel. It is the hardest tissue in our body and even harder than our bones. It is avascular. It doesn't have any, it has only less than 2% of water in it. Okay. After the enamel, you have the dentin. It is yellow. Okay, and mostly the tooth is surrounded by a cement kind of crystal, which is the cementum. Okay, and after the cementum, you have the pulp chamber of the dental pulp. Okay, and those are the roots of the tooth. Okay, and they have like a continuum of bundles of vessels and nerves that traverse into the dental pulp. Okay, and that's it. Now for the main picture between the dentin and pulp section, so the junction between them. Okay, the pulp has connective tissue which are composed of collagen types. The predentin is the junction between the pulp chamber and the dentin, and the dentin is composed of I think sorry, yeah. If a professor asks you also the dentin where it comes from, it comes from odontoblast. Okay, and if he asks you also which cells compose the enamel, it is the ameloblast. What else? For the bones? So for the alveolar process in the maxilla and the mandibula. Okay, so alveolar process. So the spongy bones here. Those are for the osteoblast. But not only osteoblast interacts, you have also osteoclasts. The main difference between osteoblast and osteoclast, the osteoblast will build bones, and osteoclast recess bones. Why do we need recessing? Recessing with building up, because it's like we are doing a sculpture, right? You don't in architecture. You don't need only to build something. Okay, you need also to shape and so on. So osteoclast, this is the main role. And if you don't have osteoclast, you'll have a great accumulation of bone, and means that if the osteoblasts are into let's say if there's no balance between osteoblast and osteoclast, so if you have like a great activity osteoblast more than osteoclast, you can have so much tumors in your bones, such as osteoporosis and many others. Or if the osteoclasts are working much better than osteoblasts, you can have a lot of bone recessions, depression in your bones, and you can lose a lot of let's say so you can lose you can have some holes, or like having depressions into your bone and everything. But mostly those kind of problems comes from vitamins deficiencies, and of course calcium. Okay, and that's it. This is the same picture. Okay, but the main difference between these two pictures is that you have a better looking of the odontoblasts that are responsible of the dentin, okay, of the development of the dentin. Now here, for the tooth, but this is from the cup bell stages of the tooth development, okay. The main idea is this: for the Meckel's cartilage, the Meckel's cartilage does not interact with the development. I'm going to put an X in here. Does not interact with the development of the mandible. Please, if the professor asks you this, you say that it doesn't interact with the development of the mandible. Okay, it is just here. That's it. Okay. Other pictures. Cup stage. Yeah, you have them all. Yeah, I've already talked about this. What else? Oh, yeah. Cementum level. Let me just check. Okay, so for the cementum now. I'm going to tell you the main difference between acellular and the cellular cementum. So the main difference between the acellular and cellular cementum is that the cellular cementum is relatively thick and it covers the apical half of the root. Okay. As I've told you, the cementum, you can only find it mostly into the root section. So when your professor, remember when our professor, Dr. Mihai Andrei, when he gave us some tools, do you remember? You have seen that the roots are covered by something like so hard, like hard tissue. This hard tissue is the cementum. And so when we have two types of cementum, you have the cellular and the acellular. The cellular one, okay. The cellular cementum is relatively thick and it covers the apical half of the root, okay. And the acellular cementum, it is thin, okay. So it is smaller and covers only the cervical half of the root. I'm gonna draw you a picture to understand more. Okay, so basically, let's say this is the molar. The cervical part of the tooth is here, and the apical part of the roots are in there. So the apical part. So here you have the acellular cementum, and here in the apical part of the roots you have the cellular cementum. Okay. In the cells that are responsible for the formation of the cementum are the cementoblasts. The cementoblasts, if you can see in the last section that we had, if your professor asks you, the cementoblast comes from the undifferentiated mesenchymal cells in the connect. I'm going to continue here. In the connective tissues of the dental follicles. And as you can see, also, what else? I have to tell you that the mesenchymal cells, they are in the connective tissue of the dental follicles also. Yeah, what else do I have to tell you about? I had an idea in my head, but I forgot it, man. Yeah, also the cementum sorry, cementum is bone-like, mineralized tissue that lines the dentin of the root while protecting the root. Okay. Now, as you can see, you have some lacunae also. So as I've told you, the lacunae are some spaces that are supposed to be filled with something, right? So in here, in the cementum, the lacunae have some. They are uninnervated, so they don't have no nerves in here. Okay, and those canals they will they'll be oriented towards the periodontal ligament. Okay, and they will contain also some cementocytic processes, and it will diffuse some nutritions in here, and those nutritions will come from the vascularized ligament, okay, which is the Sharpey's fibers from the periodontal ligament, and they will be embedded in the cementum, okay. I think that's it. I've already told you this. Yeah. What else? Okay. So let me draw into another color. So, as I've said to you, between here you are in the cervical part of the tooth. Okay. So in the cervical part, you have a connection between the the kind of separation. Sorry, between the dentin and cementum, and this connection this kind of connection is the cemento-dentinal junction. Okay, and that's it. Like if you have some presence of cementocyte, please tell him about for a professor, and try to don't forget about the general shape of the cementum. The cementum is the dentin is more like more fibrous, a little bit more fibrous. Okay. As you can see in here, I have some dental tubules. The dental tubules, you have some microscope pictures into in the lab sessions also. So I think it was one of lab session 8, if I still remember. And the cementum is more like more than like a smooth structure. Okay. And I think, yeah, that's it. You're not responsible to know the staining. We don't care if it's hematoxins and then staining, as I've told you. Yeah, I think that's it for your pictures, guys. Yeah. Turn off the recording.